Hey there, you are watching Ship-to-Ship Combat in Chapter 13 of my TearRing Saga Champions of Utena Low Turn Count playthrough. This is the first boat map in the game, although it's not the last, and obviously that means that Holmes' crew's seafarer skill is going to be active on this map. An interesting restriction on this map is that Katri is unable to use the Ring of Salia on it. I guess it's fair enough that we don't want a giant fire-breathing dragon rampaging around on our fragile, delicate boat. Our goal here is to defeat the pirates, and to do that, we need to defeat the boss in order to leave them leaderless. In preparation for that, Martel is going to have her Levin sword taken away from her, and that's because of the boss's strange AI. For a pirate chief, the boss seems like quite a coward, because his AI is set to avoid our unit's range at all costs. That means we either need to spend ages getting lots of our units near him in order to pin him down and trap him, or we can attempt to trick his AI, and the latter one is of course what we'll be doing because this is a low turn count playthrough. Meanwhile, as before, we are of course deploying Naron in order to continue getting experience towards level 10, and we're trying to do the same with Samson. Having him promoted is going to be slightly useful much later on in the game. The first move I make on this chapter is having Marouge show off the power of Sylphid by effortlessly one-hit KOing a pirate. And this action triggers a cutscene in which a friendly character is thrown overboard all the way to the right. This event is extremely unfortunate from our character's point of view, because that character who just went off the boat is Renee, Atron's adopted sister, who I mentioned in the last chapter. This is going to motivate the story for quite a lot of Holmes' route from here. By triggering this cutscene, we also cause one of Merhen's soldiers to defect to our side. This is Krishna, who is a Myrmidon. She has the Steel skill, but her stats are completely garbage, and there is absolutely no reason to ever use her for anything. Her survival would be slightly iffy, but like with Marouge in Chapter 5, she has quite a few things designed to keep her alive. There's the main gauche, the sword that she's holding, which gives an avoid bonus, and she also has 2 miracle charms on her, which we definitely want, so we're relying on her dodging attacks in order to get them. Our strategy for this enemy phase is mostly just choking the 2 choke points that are formed by the gangplanks between our 2 ships, in order to prevent our fragile units who need experience from being mobbed. Martel moved into a very specific space, which is exactly within range of where the boss is going to move, as long as she has 2 range. Of course, the boss will only move there if she doesn't actually have 2 range, which is why we don't have the Levin sword on her at this time. Because she does have 1 range equipped, however, one of the 2 pirates near her chooses to attack her from the side, and so we only have to remove 1 of these 2 on player phase. Krishna survives pretty easily, because most of these enemies are not particularly accurate to begin with, and then the main gauche gives her plus 20 avoid on top of that, so that's pretty handy. Now it's player phase again, and we need to make good on our ability to reach the boss, and that requires removing the 1 enemy who is standing between Martel and Merhen. We have to be careful where we move here, and I kind of idly put Holmes in a place where I probably shouldn't have, because we do need a space adjacent to Martel in order for Mel to trade the Levin sword to her later on in this phase. Another really unfortunate thing happens here, because Marouge misses a 99% true hit, which would have killed the enemy that was in the way. It's very lucky that he also dodged the enemy's counterattack, otherwise that would have been a pretty embarrassing reset. This is really frustrating, and it leads to me having to scramble quite a bit. Thankfully, Lee is still quite capable of one-round KOing these pirates, so we can make some space for other units to finish off the job that Marouge screwed up. You can see that I'm considering whether Naron will be able to finish off this enemy if I weaken him a bit. And eventually I do decide to go for a Samson attack on this guy. But unfortunately for Naron, or fortunately for me, Samson manages to get a very lucky low percent Tomahawk crit and take the kill himself. This frees Naron up to attack a different enemy, and it's actually quite convenient because the enemy that Naron was meant to kill this turn drops a Levin sword, which I really want, since Levin swords are the linchpin of Martel's powerful offense. In the upper left corner of the map, you may be able to see an enemy who hasn't really done anything. That's another summoner, and this one has a harpy staff on him, which is pretty annoying if he uses it, so I'm very glad that I managed to avoid that from happening. He actually drops the harpy staff if you go up there and kill him, but that is really hard to achieve in this context, because it requires a flyer to go close to him. Harpies use bows, so it's difficult enough getting a flyer near him in the first place, and obviously the flyer that we have is currently occupied clearing this map in the shortest possible turn count. So the harpy staff, useful though it might be, is not going to be obtainable on this run. Speaking of the boss kill, Mel just traded the Levin sword over to Martel and has ensorcelled her. This is pretty extreme overkill in terms of attack, but I have plenty of ensorcel uses for the rest of the game, so I figured why not take this guy out with extreme prejudice. And as you can see, it works. Martel has a pretty damn good hit rate and easily one-round KOs to complete the chapter in 2 turns. Fortunately for Merhen, Katri actually saved his life in a cutscene after this map, and we end up recruiting him. But I'll discuss him in a later chapter where he has a significant role. So that's this map clear, and it's a bit of a relief compared to the really long chapters that we've had for quite some time. So, after that, we sail back to Welt for a quick cutscene, but then, that is it. We are not returning to Welt at all for the rest of this playthrough. Holmes' goal in the story now is to head to the north, to the ruined Kingdom of Leather, in order to find a thingamabob that can allegedly resurrect the dead, so that we can raise Renee, who we believe has drowned. That means that Holmes is more or less following Runan at this point, including taking a trip into the city of Marl to have a conversation with the characters Richard and Tia, and then moving on towards Salia. Another cutscene follows, in which I have to make a choice, but because I don't follow through by deploying Krishna in the next map, this choice is completely inconsequential. So, that is all for this video. I will see you next time.